Okay, so when in doubt, when you don't know the extent of the injury, we're going to treat it as if they do have a head spinal injury, right? Again, immobilize in position found. If they're unresponsive, right, we do still need to open the airway and check for breathing. So head tilt chin lift may not be the best way. There's actually a different way to immobilize or open the airway for potential head spinal injuries, and that's on page 83 of your book. It's called the modified jaw thrust. Okay, so it's a way to open the airway by pulling the jaw forwards and pushing the cheekbones down. You can try it on yourself. It's really awkward on yourself, but your thumbs are on your cheekbones and your fingers are wrapping around your jaw. And what you're doing is you're pushing your thumbs down as you pull your jaw forwards. So it looks like this in the person. Okay, their head's right here, pushing their cheekbones, and I'm pulling the jaw forwards to pull the tongue out of the airway. So that is an option to open someone's airway. Okay, if head spinal injury is suspected. Okay, if you have to turn someone over onto their side, for instance, they're vomiting, right? The best way to do so is to keep their head and neck aligned without twisting or turning anything from, the base of your skull, okay, all the way down your spinal column to the, your butt, okay? So keep that as still and aligned as possible, rolling them in one unit, okay? So we only move them absolutely if necessary, okay? Any blows to the head can obviously cause head spinal injuries, or something that could be a brain injury called a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. So we treat these really seriously. Those traumatic brain injuries can be a slow bleed in the brain, which can lead to massive amounts of issues later on. So when in doubt, treat it very seriously. Call 911. Okay. Just a question for you. Let's say the person is involved in motor vehicle collision. The car flipped. Looks pretty severe, and they hop out of the car and they're running around. Okay. Do they have no injury? Is that the case?
No.
Not necessarily, right? They could be in shock, and actually they probably are in shock. So even if they're walking around, we still assume, okay, just by how the vehicle looks, yeah, that's a head spinal injury. Sir, I need you to stay as still as possible. Just stop moving right now and keep them in the position you find them in. So often shock can mask pain, okay? Let's say they have a deformity on their skull. So yeah, it's kind of, the bone fragments are causing their brain to look a little bit funny. Putting pressure might not be the best idea for that. What kind of pressure would we maybe use on a deformity in the skull? Instead of direct pressure, indirect pressure. So that's where you get your diamond shape, and you're putting pressure around it, okay? So that's indirect pressure, okay? So let's move on to pelvic injuries, since it's on the next page here. Okay. So your pelvic girdle, this is a large set of bones, okay, that make up your hips and the top of your femur. And it provides a protective girdle at the base of your spine, okay? So your bladder's in there, your intestines in there, reproductive organs and major arteries, like femoral arteries, nerves, okay? It takes a lot of force to damage it. It's on page 25. It takes a lot of force to damage it, but I mean, when you're older individuals, they can actually have very little force to cause pelvic injuries. So just keep that in mind. Falls, especially in the elderly, can lead to these types of traumatic injuries. Okay? So in addition to spinal cord damage, other complications, we might have pelvic injuries. So same idea with causes of this: falls, motor vehicle collisions, crushing injuries. So signs and symptoms of pelvic injuries, you're gonna see shock, internal bleeding, right? They can't stand, they can't walk, right? And severe pain. As you can imagine, that's gonna hurt a lot, okay? So we're gonna treat them very similar to head spinal injuries. We're gonna keep the head spine all aligned, all attached, right? activate EMS, and yeah, don't move the casualty unless absolutely necessary. We can support the pelvic area by placing padding or blankets on either side of the pelvis. Often this feels like, I've heard this described as when they have broken their pelvis. The patient says, it feels like a book opening up. Okay, it's a very odd, very weird sensation. Yeah, you can imagine that. So supporting the pelvis on either side can help with that. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna place, so you have the patient right here, the person right here, and this is their pelvic area. Okay, I'm gonna place my my sweater on either side of their pelvis, and then at the same time on both sides, I'm just gonna squeeze lightly, and that just provides a little bit of support. That's not the best support, but something bulky like that on either sides of the pelvic girdle. Okay. All right. If needed to roll the person. Oh, grab the keys. Oh, yes. Okay. If absolutely needed to roll someone, we're going to use the log roll. Okay. So the log roll, where did I put you? On page 26. So we're not going to practice this, I'm just going to demo it. I will need a few people. I haven't picked on you guys yet, so red, white shirt, green, come on down. Okay, red, you're on the ground. You have a potential injury that requires a log roll. Okay, so maybe a head spinal injury. Okay. On your back, let's make it easier for us. Thank you. Okay.
I thought the log roll was.
So the log roll, you can see how we have, multiple people to help. Okay. When EMS show up, there's usually just 2 of them, right? So they're going to need bystanders to assist. You can see the bystander's arms are spread quite wide, and that prevents one person from twisting the spine. Okay. So if my hand is on the shoulder and the leg, I'm not going to twist the spine. Okay. So I'm going to be at the head, and you guys are going to be on this side of him. Could you? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh. All right.
You're not holding it on her.
Okay, so I'm in control of the head.
Is this good?
I'm in control of the head. So I'm going to immobilize the head, and all I care about is the head going with the body. Okay? So you're going to kneel down, get comfortable so you don't fall on him. Okay? One arm, your right one's going to be on the shoulder, and then your other arm's going to be on the thigh. Yeah. And then green, your one hand's going to be on the ribs here, and then other arm on the knee or lower. Okay, good. So you can see how their arms are crossed like that. Okay. So on my count, on 3, we're going to roll 90 degrees towards you. Understood? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Roll. Oop, there we go. Okay. Or let's say an injury back here, we can treat the injury, or a spine board, or he's puking. Whatever the reason for the log roll, that's how we do it. Okay. So he's done doing that. We're going to roll him back down on my count on 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.